year was $185,700. Total this year is $175,700, down 5.3%. Most of that's from the copier though. With the copier last year, if you notice, I had in bold still at $9,000. And one thing that we talked about this year, and from now on the capital outlay, is that $3,500 is putting back $1,000 for the copier, and then $2,500 is for the vehicle. Vehicle's a 2003. It's a good vehicle. We don't have any problem right now, but it's not going to last forever. Anyway, all in all, some of the, when you get down to the meetings and travel, dues and so forth, the property valuation department went up on their class cost this year, so it's
right.
yeah, they went up a little bit on that. So we're gonna have a little bit more there.
Think about the protest act?
Sure.
Good time, isn't it?
Um, so really, on my contract's up next year in June, so it's going to be done later. But all in all, the main difference would be the copier and then the difference from Dom's salary to Dom's. And then down on the bottom, you see where we have DLT, Gail Ogle, APTI. I have to leave them on there to show you guys what the budget was for prior years. But we don't use those anymore because we have Kimball mapping. So that's why they have an NA beside them. Anything jumping out at you guys?
No.
Okay. So that was the scope of work then. The other thing is I gave you the brochure to the neighborhood revitalization plan. Believe it or not, we need to start working on it. We need to renew it. I'm just kind of bringing this up to you guys right now. If you look at the brochure, is there anything you want to change? We haven't changed it. We've adopted it now. This will be the fourth time. I think it's pretty good. I don't think we should go up on the cost of the plan or anything. So. The only thing we need to start working on is I think we need to have the interlocal agreements. I need to email me those. We'll get those sent out. Start meeting and talking to the other entities. I always ask you guys first, are you interested in renewing it, the program? Because if the county's not, it usually halts the program.
Yes, I'm interested.
Okay.
I think so, yeah.
Yep.
So, okay.
Can we renew it now? I mean, you all wait till.
You can't
December.
get your well, we have to go through the process. Because with interlocal agreements, we need to make sure that the schools and the city want to participate. I just needed the okay really from you guys first to let them know that the county's kind of back in the game for it. And then we usually sign it in December, right before the renewal's over. But we're having everything in place by the end of the year. So I went back and re-looked at everything. I don't see really anything to change. I think the thresholds work, the dollar amounts. Some communities lower the threshold. What I'm talking about is lowering that dollar amount to qualify. The only problem is, you just start a lot of paperwork for a very small refund. And it gets cumbersome.
You mean they're saying less than 20,000?
Yes. Yes. And when you look at the percent, where I'm talking, it gets pretty cumbersome, is you have to go back every year, and we have to update values. And if you go back 5-6 years from now, and you only get back 65% of $5,000, it's really, it's a lot of paperwork for nothing.
You have paperwork that says, like, what amount's coming off yearly.
Yeah. Well,
I'd like, sometime I'd like to
Okay.
see that.
okay.
That'd be interesting.
Okay.
Is it used as much as it?
No, it really varies, the first couple of years, there was a couple of years in there, it was a barn burner. I think there was some different programs on those years for ag buildings, where the ag buildings, we've seen it popping up everywhere. That was a big year.
Well, and we had the storms too.
Tornado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we still have 25 a year, at least. That's good, for a county our size.
Then we had what, one or two from out of county? Like one in the bank facility in Maxville, wasn't that Great Bend Co-op?
Oh,
Was that the reason?
yeah,
Yeah.
they're in county, but they're, Pawnee County Co-op,
Yeah.
Fairfield Co-op, they use it. I use it for Zenith or
Kansas.
Kansas, or they do.
Would you use it for the new stuff like over seven?
Yeah.
It'd be kind of interesting to see how much of that's coming off the tax rolls here in the next couple of years. I know quite a bit of it is.
And we've had quite a bit, because we adopted it in 2006. And so from 2007 would have been the first tax year. And we only have a 7-year program. So we've already had many years coming back on the tax program.
But I do think the biggest year will be another year. You'll have more come back on.
Okay, well, we'll start that process, man.
The thing that surprises me that not everyone knows about this.
Still. Well, there's still people who don't know they need a permit. And then, game plan is, we're certifying to the clerk's office, to Nita, Tuesday, the 19th. We have to, by statute, we have to have it certified by May 31st. We think this year, we're going a little bit earlier than we have in the past. Give a little more time to you guys to see the evaluations. And, once again, I hope, I just hope state assessed kind of helps with it.
You change the oil price or anything, right? Still set at 23?
Yes.
There was a little bit of rumor that that might even go down, but it didn't go down
Yeah.
anymore.
By statute, they have till June 1st.
So they can still change it.
But when we certify, that would cause huge problems. Because then, our value would be locked. We will already convert to 2021. And then we'd have to go back and recertify back to 2020, because the clerks would be wrong. I don't see that changing now.
It's still 14% of our budget was over last year.
That's right.
And we're losing half of that. Okay, that's what
Okay?
the way I remember.
Okay, remember, good.
Oh. I think it's probably not gonna get done this year, but you talked to Roger Ham about,
Yeah.
May or June, he said, come up
To
and
come
talk.
up, yeah, that's.
Still want to do that? Still want to do that?
I think we should, if you guys don't want to or whatever, I think I'll go up there. That's it, it'll probably have to be in July or August.
I know.
Because it'll be backdated, when they get back to work, they're gonna have a log that I'm sure they put off, because they're working, they're not working there yet.
He didn't set a specific date then with you.
No, we talked about like this month,
Yeah.
April and May.
That's what made me think about that.
So it'll probably be in August. Is what I'm thinking, by the time they get everything caught up and go from there. Which still gives us time. And, one advantage of that is, if we want to talk about the irrigation when we get up there, we're gonna have that water extrication from, Water Resources by then. We should have that in the middle of June.
I did some paperwork, our county versus surrounding counties that I took to my desk yesterday. That's what reminded me, I don't want to throw that away. I would like to
Okay,
show that to them,
okay. Well, we emailed all that to them, so they have it.
and maybe take John with us, and
Okay.
might help.
Okay.
Speaking of irrigation, has you heard anything about any more about the Cordero impairment?
Zero.
Zero.
Zero. That's the best kept secret ever.
So we have June, July, August. What is it? That drop dead date is the 20th of September?
I'm not sure
I
about that.
think it is.
Maybe in the right area,
So they still have till September 19th to,
Yeah, right.
kind of like.
Cordero said they wouldn't call for water until September 20th.
So September 19th, we'll get to work on it.
Yeah.
Kind of like the,
Sounds
was it
Well,
Senator Wakel, that on Saturday put out a thing about the deadline for the real estate taxes?
I saw that, she wants to change
She threw something together on the 9th. This needs to be, we need to get this fixed.
she's wanting to extend it out.
it. Yes,
Well, that's a lot better than calling.
well, but the deadline, the date was, due date's May 11th.
It was on Sunday though.
It was
Oh.
the 11th this year.
Yeah.
At
So
least she's trying to give you.
what she's trying to do is get the interest waived for,
Yeah.
I think it's 60 days or whatever, which
I'd be curious how much
interest,
business did Mary get
shoot, they were busy, I
Mhm.
know, so. They
I
got
put
one.
mine in May.
Huh?
I put mine in May.
I paid mine in December.
Cool, there you go.
That way I can get his neighbor.
You get
Buy
that
the
free.
station back.
Yeah.
One way to skin a cat, right?
Okay. Go ahead.
Thanks, man.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, Amy Collins sent me an email late yesterday afternoon, and they're trying to plan the fair this year. How the fair looks is determined county by county. The decision will include fair board, extension board, county health nurse, and commissioners. There's a fair board meeting Thursday evening. She's trying to put together an alternate fair plan to allow us to wear masks and social distancing. If we decide to not use the fairground building for our inside exhibits, would it be possible to use this room to judge and display those projects? She has not talked to the fair board yet, but it would be the whole week of July 13th through 17th. I told her I would have to bring this to you guys.
So she's wanting to split it up for part of the stuff in the fairground,
No, all of the inside exhibits would be over there.
but like the cattle and the,
Oh, no, those would obviously still be at the fairground.
so they're wanting to split it up between the fairgrounds and here.
I guess, so the Fair Board hasn't met yet. She just wanted to know if she could use this room if she needed it
It'd be tied up for all four of those days.
for a week, 13th through 17th. To judge and display those projects, which would be like sewing, the cooking, photography,
Woodworking projects.
whatever's in that one inside building.
So then for next year, then it would be, they don't have AC over there and they have AC here. so-
I don't know,
I think it's a
I
bad
mean,
idea to
air
split it up. I
Air
mean,
conditioning.
4-H is having a hard enough time with the fair. I think splitting it up would be.
I need your signature, I've had it for a long time, I've just not been able to.
So do you want to go to this Fair Board meeting?
Here.
That's this Thursday?
She said it would be Thursday evening. No time.
She wants us all or one?
No. I said, do one of you want to go? I just told her I would ask you about this room.
And that's tomorrow?
I assume so. I could find out, let you know. I don't know what the plan would be for the cattle and stuff. I suppose if they're outside, they can go ahead and use the arena and all that.
That's it. Well, why don't you give me copies? And I'm gonna leave my coat on, or almost leave need it on in here.
It's not gonna be.
I think it feels good.
I think they're just grasping at straws, trying to come up with a plan. I don't know you guys, I just got the.
Yeah, I would say no.
Hey,
And I would go to the meeting, if it's tomorrow, I already have a meeting tomorrow night. But
Okay.
if it is the 21st, I don't want to. I've already had people call me last week saying that they thought Amy was in the process of canceling the fair this year.
Well, she said K-State said that we would be going forward with the fairs. So
I think it's a fair board decision myself.
she just wants to have this room as an alternate.
Permission to use this room.
Do you guys want to give them permission to use this room? Yes
I
or
don't
no?
want to.
I wouldn't care, but I don't think it's a very good idea for them to split the fair. But I'm not on the fair board either, so.
I won't make a motion to let them.
Okay, so what do you want me to tell her?
See what the fair board has to say.
Yeah.
Wait to see what the fair board wants to
But
do.
it's unlikely that they will use this room.
Yeah, I'd say.
Is that
talk
the
to fair board
consensus?
first. Talk to
But it's
fair board.
unlikely that they'll be able to use it. It'll be at least a 2-1 vote.
I think she'd have a lot of mad people if they went to the fair and then there wasn't anything there. That makes sense.
Okay.
We're a little early, sorry, go ahead.
Anything else? Want to do the minutes?
No, go ahead, you guys go ahead.
You want to do the minutes first?
What's up to you?
I make a motion that we approve the May 6th minutes.
Second? Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the May 6th meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
You've got some tax.
I make a motion that we approve the tax roll corrections.
Second. Have a motion and a second to approve the tax roll corrections. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried.
Now you're up.
Okay.
Sorry for the delay.
It's kind of an interesting, we're new facility here that we're involved in and trying to, Mike Keeley, Chief Judge, and Renee Salem, of course, is the clerk here. We're here on our budget for 2021. Obviously, just new times, new things going on with the COVID-19. I think Renee has just provided you a copy of our budget. It is very similar to what we've done in the past. I think you guys have been involved in this over the past years that I've been involved. This is the last year I'm going to be doing this because I'm going to hang it up here at the end of December. I'm retiring after 28 years as judge, so.
Don't you want to go for 30 or something?
I'd still like to discuss this.
But
You know ball games.
He appears to be pretty set in his,
I'm pretty set on this. Actually, June 1 is the date you have to announce whether you're going to run again. We do have two people that have already announced. Levi Morris, who is the current county attorney in Barton County, and Lisa Barron, who is an attorney in Great Bend, actually from the Almonds area. She is one of our criminal defense contract people. So, we don't know if she were to win the election, then obviously Renee or the new chief judge is going to have to find someone to come down here and help with criminal cases, so on and so forth. We were working with Mike and so on, but a lot of unknowns. That race at this point will be over. We'll know in August because both of them are Republicans. The primary is in whatever the August date is, 4th. And, however, there's still somebody has a couple weeks if they want to sign up to do that. But that's just kind of off the budget discussion, but at least give you guys an idea of, there will be a new chief judge. I would imagine Judge Johnson, Steve Johnson, he's been kind of the senior judge. Judge Hitt is the other judge. That'll be up to the Supreme Court. They kind of pick who it is. They'll do their own investigation, their own determination, and make a decision. That person will be the one coming down next year for all of you guys, if you're all back next year. So, looking at the budget, if you go to page 2, it shows our proposed budget is $66,100. $66,100 is what we're proposing. Last year, we'd actually requested that. I think you guys provided $60,000 as a budget for us. For the year before, I think we'd had $58,000. We actually only used $51,000. And so when we don't use the full budget that you guys had authorized, that money comes back and goes back into the general fund. The reason I always try and point that out is to let you know that Renee does a nice job. She communicates with us. I communicate with everybody. We aren't just, because you give us $60,000 or $58,000, we don't just spend it. We don't spend every dime that you give us. We spend what we need. We understand that there are difficult times for everybody, so we don't need it. We're not trying to spend it. This coming year, we have an estimated expenditure of $59,800, which is going to be right up on our budget. So we are this year getting awful close to spending our budget. Again, we're estimating for the remainder of the year. We really don't know, depending on if there's numerous jury trials that happen to go or not go. I know Renee I think we've spent some on some computers this year. We always are updating some computers. We've also updated our sound machine, or our recording machine in the courtroom. Normally, attorneys want things on the record. Courts want it on the record, so if someone appeals it, we have 2 court reporters that usually come down and transcribe or take it. We have one of them who's been involved in the system in our district for over 25 years. She's retiring July 10th. Linda Rubio is retiring. Yeah, darn her. Talk about trying to convince people to stay.
Almighty.
I really tried to convince her to stay. Till I was
Killing me.
So,
Now, who's throwing rocks in glass houses now?
Yeah, I
She's
know.
too early to
I
retire.
know. So, we are going to be using, and that's why we needed to update the recording machine to make sure we would get things. Some of the older ones we've had throughout the district, you'd hear, you just couldn't hear it. So we asked Renee to get one that was sufficient so we can transcribe them if needed. So, that's an area of concern. I personally don't think you can do a jury trial or any type of really serious type cases with a recording. I think you can do normal stuff. I think you can do sentencing. But if you had evidence being presented on a rape case or indecent liberties or anything like that, you probably need a reporter so that it is taken down accurately. Sometimes the machine skips words and different things. Anyway, that's another concern that we are probably going to have to address. We may have to, that's why we need to get an update on the machine. On our $66,000 on page 3, it sets it out specifically why we're requesting it. What we asked, it shows the previous year of 19, what figures we'd asked for, 2020, what we'd asked for, estimate last year, what we're proposing this year. Some of these figures, guys, are just guesstimates. I can't tell you if we're going to need more legal defense next year or not. Part of the reason is we did increase that because we think we may have to get Lisa Barron gets the judge's job. We've not had a lot of luck in hiring contract attorneys coming down here. You'd have to come from Great Bend or Pratt or Larned or somewhere because you guys don't have, local attorneys. Rod Lyons, but Rod's not doing criminal defense work for the state. And we thought we might have to kick that up. Instead of $800 a month, it might have to be $1,000 a month. So, again, that's a guesstimate. But even Joel Jackson and Lisa have always, over the last year or two, kind of indicated that they're not sure it's worth their time to come down here 6 or 7 times a month for $800 to handle all the cases they handle. And when I say 6, they come on every Monday, and they come on other special dates. Judge Walters does a great job of working with them. She coordinates with them, so if they don't have to come down, or she can maybe alternate every other week. So she works with them. Mike does a nice job of doing stuff, coordinating things. But sometimes you just have to show up unexpectedly when you have a child need a care case or something.
Well, the problem with child in the care cases is you're always gonna have a guardian ad litem, that's one attorney. And then if you've got a parent or parents, that's the second attorney. So that may be Joel and Lisa right there on one sink case. They're involved, both involved in one case.
And they've been, doing this for so long, they've been running into conflicts of representing these people,
So then you have
Second
third
generation.
Second or third generation.
You can look through here. Some of the areas, like I said, with the new recording machine, we've got an $800 a year maintenance update fee. Education and training, we've asked it to go up a little bit. Travel, we've asked it to go up a little bit. Again, that may not happen because I can tell you the Supreme Court has already started telling me that we're not having conferences. They've canceled all their conferences in April and May. The KDACA, which is what the clerk of the district court goes to, that meeting may just go by Zoom. Our normal meeting with all the judges in the state in October, we've been told that's not going to happen personally. And I think a lot of this is budget issues. They're going to do it because they're going to have trouble with our tax decrease being funded by the legislature. So they're already starting to address some of those issues. If you go to page 4, that is what we asked for last year. If you want to, you can compare page 4 and page 3 and look what we're asking for increases on our line items. Normally, you guys don't always care. You're kind of looking at the bottom line. I think once you give us the money, we can spend it wherever we need to. Going to page 7. That's the district expense. You recall that's a separate budget where Barton County actually puts the initial, that amount, that $109,000, and then each of the 5 counties in our district pays their percentage by the percentage of population. Stafford is 8% of the total bill, so you guys pay $8,700. That district expense is like when I come down here for a case, or where we have the court reporter travel down here, where we have phone calls to Stafford County. I'm using Barton County's line. We are sharing that because I can't sit there on every case and determine, okay, this phone call is a Stafford County case, but I'm using Barton County phones. So we just, education training for all judges, if we go to different places, every county shares in their percentage of expense. So that's court service officers, probation officers, when they travel all over the district, the 5 counties. Again, Stafford pays 8% of the expenses that we can't just itemize to a particular county. And that has worked, guys, ever since I've been a judge, even though I've been a chief judge when Judge Bennington was doing it. I don't know who implemented this, but that's always been pretty successful. So that's what that budget is, that's a separate budget. We're not asking that be increased at all. Going to page 10, if you'll look at the case filings, actually in 2019, from 18 to 19, there was a pretty decent jump in case filings. Mike's, new county attorney, you've had a lot of traffic go up. Some of those are traffic related, so you can kind of look and see what they are, what has increased. We've had some probate go up. Just different things that goes up and down. But last year, 19 was a pretty bigger year than normal. If you go to page 11, looking down there, that shows the caseload supervisor. Usually we bring Monday Settle up here. She's our chief court service officer. They stayed about the same. 18, they had supervision of, well, they had about 530. Last year was 515. I don't know what it'll be this year, but it's been fairly consistent, 475, 530, kind of a bigger caseload there. They supervise the probation, people put on probation. If you go to page 12, it just kind of shows. Where was that? There was something I wanted to show. Here's what it was. Going back to page 2, out of our $66,000 budget, every time a case is filed, under the statutes of Kansas, Stafford County gets a certain percentage of the case, of the court costs. So we sort of help fund our own budget. Like last year, it was $10,900 or $10,700 is what was generated by the filings here in Stafford County. So that actually goes into the general fund each and every year, and that's been really consistent, around 10.5, 10.7. So we're guesstimating we'll have around 10,000 again this year. I don't have a whole heck of a lot. Renee, anything you'd like to say or add or talk about, or how things are going with COVID-19 or anything?
Kind of slow right now.
Will that affect this? I mean, it's 2020, ought to be less, shouldn't it?
We haven't had jury trials for 2.5 months, but sometimes we don't anyway.
You think more of that will go Zoom and?
Yeah, we have tried to do, I don't think we're gonna, criminally, it's just tough to do a criminal because they have an absolute right to a confrontation of their witnesses and so on. There's some discussion that, well, if a defendant is over in Rice County Jail and you would do a Zoom, I think there's arguments, defense counsel are arguing, wait a minute, I can't see this witness right here on the stand, so I don't know whether that's an actual confrontation. We are doing as much as we can. We're doing some pre-trials. We are doing agreed upon pleas. We're doing some sentencings by Zoom. Judge Hipp in Barton County last week had a criminal motion day. They've got to hook up with the jail, a big screen TV. But she did most of those on the computer screen. You could see the defense counsel. Of course, they had to talk to their clients. And we have to ask them, do you want to be personally present? Is this acceptable? Most of what we did was by agreement. If someone said, I want to be there, we brought them over from the jail. Because we didn't want to run the risk of someone screwing it up and getting appealed. And again, it isn't that difficult in Barton because we're walking across the street. Here, you guys are putting them in Pratt or Barton or Rice. And I think criminally Zoom things are going to be done. Actual trials or evidentiary hearings, I think you're going to still need to do in person. Right now, we can only have up to 10 people. Of course, you guys are closed. We have 2 orders from the Supreme Court, Kansas Supreme Court. And it has created lots of issues. Any courthouse that is open to the public, they've given us directions of what we should do. They want us to do as much as we can by Zoom, phone calls, audio phone calls. But for those that require person-to-person hearings, we can have no more than 10 people in the courtroom at this point in time. Starting Monday, it's going to be up to 30. But still, you're supposed to be 6 foot apart. Most of our courtrooms, you can't get 30 people. And you can get awful close. Staffing was pretty long. You could get it 30 people and probably get close to 6 foot apart. Barton County's courtroom B, the smaller one, you can only get about 15 people, 12 people in there if you really want to follow the guidelines, which we are really going to do because we want to make sure our people are safe, public safe. Those courthouses that are not open, as you guys are at this point, we're doing as much as we can by phone and Zoom and those type of things. When you open, we'll be up and running. Renee has gone in and put little X's throughout the courtroom where people are to sit on the floor. We don't want them on our nice new pews that we've had refinished because we don't want that tape you know, pull it off. Jury trials are gonna be the next huge issue. You know, you can't sit 12 people because they're this far apart. So if you go every other one, you're gonna have to put some jury members out there in the pews. The other big issue that come to my attention, how are you gonna do deliberation? Every jury room that I know where they go into, then you can't get 12 people and be separated at 16. So we're having a discussion this morning with the Supreme Court. I'm going back and talking to my Departmental Justice, one of the Supreme Court justices, and we're talking about those issues. I believe if we have jury trials before July 1, that's about as soon as, in my opinion, that's about as soon as we can do it. You can't even have more than 90 people, and you know, you have to call 40 or 50 for a jury trial, even a 1-day or 2-day jury trial, because they have 6 strikes each. And then the other thing is you got the public saying, I'm not coming. I mean, the fear of they're gonna, at least initially, you're gonna have some, we normally only have 4 or 5 people who wouldn't show up out of 80, which is a pretty high percentage, a good percentage. And usually they forgot, they're sick, they didn't call in. I'm thinking if we call 80 now, we may have 25 and say, I'm older, I don't want to run the risk, I'm afraid. And we're gonna have to give them some leeway, at least initially, I think.
Are they stacking up to where they're just gonna be
Yeah.
July 1st, they're gonna be on top of each other?
There's gonna be some
I'll tell you for Stafford County, absolutely.
Yeah,
Two
they're-
more
they're-
days.
I would think they'd have to be.
See, that's the problem, just because he says we haven't had jury trials in 2.5 months, that doesn't mean those cases just went away.
Right.
They're still there, they're
stacked
just
up.
waiting, and so they're gonna get stacked on top of what's already set in June and July. So June and July, there's no different mandate here, June's gonna be hell.
Once we
It is
open,
gonna be hell.
it's gonna be difficult. We got, and you know, it's not just, you know, and a lot of our attorneys in western Kansas, I'm not just talking our district, but you know, they come down here, they go to Pratt, they go to Larned, they go to Russell. So every county's backed up. So when we open, everybody's open. We tell them, Mike says, I want to have a trial on June 5th. Well, the other attorneys are going to say, well, wait a minute, I already got 2 other trials scheduled in Ellis County and Barton County. And, you know, the attorneys are going to have to continue those, or we're going to have to work about it because we have speedy trial issues. The Supreme Court has issued a stay of speedy trials until they say differently. But at that point, it's going to be 150 days. And to try and get all these cases that are backlogged in that time frame, it's going to be a mess. I should have retired in March.
You'll be getting caught up by the time.
Yeah. So it's going to be an issue. It's going to be a challenge. We'll get it figured out somehow. We'll get it done. But it is going to be a scheduling issue because you know every county has their own cases. They got to push, and we only have so many judges. We only have so many attorneys. We only have so many public to come in and do jury trials. And again, there's going to be a real fear, whether it's realistic or needed or not, and I think we're going to have to kind of work with the public on that.
If they're 60 or 65 years old, they're probably gonna tell you, I'm not gonna come.
Yeah.
But you can't.
Your memo the other day said all the courthouses in the district will be open Monday except for Stafford and.
Well, the 18th,
Yeah.
that's our plan, correct?
I was going to ask you guys what
To
you're
be
thinking.
open.
Yeah, it was just us. and
Right now,
Barton.
Barton is opened a week ago. Russell opened on 2 days ago. Rice, I just got notice yesterday that they plan on opening on the 18th.
Our plan is to open on Monday.
Okay. And you know,
Correct? That's what I've been telling everybody.
okay,
I didn't know
well,
if that was official.
Well,
It isn't.
I think we
can
had
do
talked
that.
about it.
and you know, when it opens, again, we're just not gonna let, now Monday, that is the governor's 30-person rule, so, but we still are gonna try and we have to keep a 6-foot distancing.
Yes.
We're allowing anybody who wants to wear masks to wear them. It's not required. I've talked to your health nurse, and she said, you know, they're not recommended, but not required. So we're allowing it. Now, if someone in the public wants to come into a courtroom, we don't have the masks at this point to give them. They're having to bring their own. So, you know, it's different, unfortunately. But if you guys, I was gonna ask, if you're thinking about opening on Mondays, and, Renee, I think is up and ready to go. Michael, I mean, we're not gonna immediately have 5 hearings on Monday or Tuesday, or 10 hearings, because you gotta get notices out, those type of things. But we're gradually gonna start moving cases along as best we can.
The 30 people rule, is that in the same room, or is that in the courthouse?
I think it's in gatherings in a gathering, like in the courtroom would be my thought. I mean, you can have more than 30 in the courthouse. You just,
If they can be socially.
if they can be socially distant.
Actually, the 30, if they can be socially distanced.
It's like you couldn't have
So
a party, a meeting here and have more than
Oh, yeah.
30. I mean,
Don't say 6 feet apart.
yeah, as long as they stay 6 feet apart. Come June 1, I believe it's 90. You can have up to 90. I think when they talk about those gatherings, they're talking about
People
weddings
sign
and.
in, that come in to the court. There's some discussion on that with other counties. They're gonna have sign-in sheets in their offices for public that does come in.
Is that so that if you have a positive case show up, then they can?
Then you can see who it is.
I don't know about that. I'm kind of on the fence.
Barton
I
County.
don't think you
Is
can
Barton
require
doing
the sign
anything
in.
like
I wouldn't
that?
make that requirement.
I haven't talked to other counties. I didn't know. I know Luann's gonna do it in the Rush Trustee's office.
And if they refuse?
Well, that's what I said. We can't make them.
So you can take the temperature?
Barton County is taking temperatures from one door. Russell's not. Most of the people I've talked to are, most of the nurses in our district have said, it's one of the factors, but it's not the all-time determining factor, so they're not requiring it. You'd almost have to have an officer, somebody there at every door. You have to have one door, probably.
I just didn't know about the signing thing.
Anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys considering, do what you can do.
I was gonna open all the doors.
I have one
We
question.
we don't have
We
personnel
wanna-
that sits on the door.
Where the legal library's at,
Yes.
I noticed in here you got your capital outlay, $650 a
We're just
year
gonna
for
have
buying
to be careful.
books for that. Will that ever go to all online instead of hard copy?
Part of it is online, that probably your Bradley
That's-
software.
I think that's our software it says buying books. What we mean is buying
It's for the legal
prescriptions.
library.
Yes.
Okay.
I have not seen a
real
real book show up in that library since I've been here.
So when do you think it will go
Because I'm the only one that uses it.
all online
It's a jam.
and be able to do away with the area that all the books take up?
I'm not sure you couldn't start eliminating those books, not eliminating. You still get all, what books do you get out there? I mean, you don't like,
My books.
we don't have libraries in most of the other counties.
See?
You have rooms.
We're already storing other people's
Hey, that's my stuff. Be nice.
stuff
Be nice.
in the law
Because I
library.
don't have any place to store it.
But it seems like we're always,
But
we need this bit room or this room. And I mean, courthouses are running out of room, so that's why I was asking.
last year, was it last year or the year before we bought the conference table?
The law library.
The law library fund paid for that, the county did not pay for that. We put a nice table and 6 chairs in case attorneys wanted to meet with clients, whatever. That computer up there is woefully, it's probably from the 80s. And
But it's
it's,
up to somebody from the law library to say it needs to go, it's not up to me.
And there used to be a rotary phone in there. Is
They're
there
still in it.
still a rotary phone, I mean,
So
that's,
Nobody
it's not
uses
hooked
those,
up.
everybody uses their cell
It's
phone.
not hooked up.
and unfortunately,
And a
Rob
typewriter.
Light,
Oh,
yes, sir, leave my typewriter alone. Rod Line and I are the only 2 lawyers in town. We are the law library board, we are the Stafford County Bar Association. You think I'm the president, he's the vice
What's the
president.
honky tonk?
And there's a checkbook somewhere in his desk. I think. But anyway,
Oh, I have the law.
There's some room to
But we
start
need to-
discussing, if, maybe having some availability.
we need to update, but not via the county funds, so it'll be the law.
Yeah.
The definition from
How does it all
the government order said mass gatherings are defined as instances in which individuals are in one
Every
location.
ticket that's written.
Now, what is your definition of location?
I would say a room.
I think it's I think her intent, and from what everybody around is, because if you have 30, you couldn't have a courthouse open anywhere in the state,
Correct.
except, even here. I mean,
But it wasn't very,
Not just.
it wasn't very well defined.
I think gathering is in a room, in a specific location, not the Stafford County courthouse itself.
In a confined area.
In the room, in the courtroom is a good place, would be my thought.
If they're out in the hallway, they wouldn't.
Always, right, as long as they're doing social distancing. Like I said, in Martin, we had more people, so we've got 8 or 9. The other day, we had a hearing with, unfortunately, we had 1 mom and 3 dads, and a child, and we had CASA, we had county attorney, so I had 10 in the room, and I actually had the doors open where they could sit, a couple people had to sit outside the room. That's how I determined it, because we didn't want to violate the 10-person rule.
Yeah, you read this, I mean, it's not easy to interpret.
I will tell you, you got to use a little common sense, and people still have.
Oh, don't say that word.
But like I said, if they're a family,
Well, sometimes if there's a family and all their significant other family members, we're telling them you can't come in if you're about, we need mom, we need dad, we don't even have to have uncle and cousin Susie and everybody. Well, they have a right to be here. Well, we're not gonna do the hearing then today, and your kids are gonna stay in custody because we don't have enough room now, and that pretty much stops that stuff. They say, okay, we wanna do it.
Fun.
All right. Well, thank you guys, appreciate it, let us know, whatever, we'll work with whatever works.
All right, thank you.
All right. Yeah, okay.
Need to hit you up?
okay.
Renee, I got,
Okay, that's fine.
oh yeah, I'll catch you before I get hurt down. Semi-hurt, I do have. Zoom.
Hey now, hey now. You should do one of those
If it doesn't,
countdown, you should do one of those countdown things on your phone.
I have it in my head. Oh, it's right here.
Okay. Actually,
Is it my turn?
it is your turn.
Your turn.
It's nice to see you all. Okay, so I'm going to turn on this one.
I don't know.
This funding opportunity, CDBG funding through Department of Commerce, was released yesterday officially, a little after 1 o'clock online. This is strictly grant funding. Typically, CDBG funding is loans. And usually we're eligible for it because we don't have 51% LMI in our communities. It's low to moderate income levels. However, Stafford and Maxville are LMI right now. So Stafford and Maxville could qualify for the meal program portion of this program right here, which you can apply for up to $100,000. I think it's Carolyn's thoughts to have Stafford apply for some along with the Circles program, because they do feed those participants. So we've already talked with them, they met council Monday night. They're proceeding with this application along with EcoDevo. EcoDevo cannot directly apply, it has to be our county or our cities. So you will act as a pass-through to some degree. So how this will work, the $300,000 portion that we're wanting the county to apply for, you do not have to meal. It's just the meal portion that the city established. So there you'll see a $300,000 amount in here. How that will work is county will submit this application through the portal you signed up for yesterday. If you're approved, then you guys will receive the funding, and then Carolyn and I are willing to do the legwork of talking with our businesses to see who wants to utilize it. So this ultimately is funding for our local businesses. However, our businesses have to have employees that have at least 51% LMI. So let's say the dry cleaner had another employee that she paid besides herself. The employee would have to be considered low to moderate income to be eligible. I don't think I print it off with the charge. You can kind of pass that on the table. But basically, we want our business employees who have to be in this 30 to 50% category If you're above that, you make too much money. So,
like hairdressers and qualify.
We're not sure.
Only-
So here's the tricky part. You're self-employed, we're not sure if that qualifies. They're having a question and answer session tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. So I guess this morning I wanted to bring it to your guys' attention, kind of get it on your minds. Carolyn wanted me to ask you guys to sign a resolution. However, another question that was brought up yesterday with the EcoDevo directors is whether or not you can sign this now, or if it has to be done in a public hearing, which has to be publicized.
What does the resolution say?
So this is what the resolution looks like. So we're now being told that you have to give notice of a public hearing, which means ours wouldn't go in the paper until next week, and then the public hearing actually doesn't take place until the week after that. The tricky part about it is that this is a first come, first served basis. So for our smaller communities and counties, we're going to be pushed to the back burner if we have to follow this public hearing notice guideline.
So we have to provide matching funds?
No, that would be 0%. This is strictly grant funding, no loans. Now, there are some communities and counties that have what they call revolving loan funds with CDBG. They're asking those communities to use their loan funds first before they apply for grant funding, but we don't have
How did
those.
they come up with $300,000 figure?
I have no idea. There's like, I think
Is
it's
that a
$9
percentage
million, I think it's $9 million total in funding for this.
9 million or
So I'm not
21,000?
sure where they came up with the 300,000. So how that will work
Just because
is
these cities
are
listed
excluded.
there are excluded
They're too
because
big.
they already got 500.
They're too big, yeah.
This resolution is just saying you guys have legal authority and authorization to apply for the CDBG grant from the Kansas Department of Commerce. I think you can go ahead and ask.
It's asking, okay, I mean, it's asking for, like I said, that goes in as 0. It is strictly
Okay.
grant dollars. You guys get no match. And when it being first come, first served basis, we talked to Great Plains Development out of Dodge City, because we are gonna have to partner with them on this. Carolyn and I are not certified to check, so the employees will sign a one-page document saying, yes, I fit these income limits, they sign and date it. Carolyn and I can certify those. We're gonna have to send it to Great Plains Development, and they're gonna have to certify it for us.
But we
because they're-
will work out already.
Yeah, you guys pay them like a small fee every year. However, they might ask us for additional. So with this 300,000, it's either 15,000 max or 10%, whichever is less. You can use as administration fees. And so I know Carolyn mentioned the need on the phone the other day. If our office were to do a lot of the legwork and be the ones that talk to our businesses and get this pulled in, would you guys be willing to earmark that administration money as EcoDevo? So in the future, if we have other projects, another feasibility or something, feasibility study, we would have some funds sitting there. She asked me to
But that
bring
money
us.
that we earmark would be coming out of this 300,000.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
yeah, because we would create a separate fund for this. It's what we typically do with these grants that we are the pass-through for, so we can track it. I mean, it just makes it simpler on the bookkeeping end of it. But yeah,
I mean, we think that would be better for you guys to hold on to your market for EcoDevo rather than just paying us for doing our share. We would rather it be that way. That you guys just hold on to it, and in the future, if we have one feasibility study for the project, there's a little bit of money sitting there. Like I said, you guys are simply acting as a pass-through.
we're just the pass-through.
I'm going, when I'm down here, I'm going over to talk to Jamie. So the city of Stafford wants to apply. It's any city or county government. So I think the city of St. John might also apply. So how that will work is if the city of St. John is awarded funding, the county side of it cannot give the funding to a St. John business. The St. John fund has to use theirs. So your guys' would be applied to like the city of Maxwell, the city of Hudson, or any rural businesses that fall outside of the city limit. Now, if St. John decides not to apply, it would be eligible to be used
And
other in
tell me
town.
what the next resolution number would be.
Like I said, it's first come, first served, so we're asking that we just apply for all of it and see if we get it. We have 12 months to find
Keeps dropping
businesses
over here.
to
Take
use it.
this
If
charge
not,
and
we
put it
end up
on
sending it
the
back to
boosters
the
and put it
Department of
on.
Commerce. But again, we're gonna raise our hand and try and get all of it that we
Might as well
can.
try to get what you get.
We've got some
Go under
businesses
20,
on it,
20
so
commission proceedings,
obviously,
and then I have
and it's mainly
resolutions
used
there.
for inventory. So starting back up after COVID has taken them out of business. So, I mean, your hairdressers would be great examples.
And that was number
Buying their
9.
inventory if they're eligible.
So 10.
Dry cleaner, if she's eligible.
Thank you.
But again,
Do we have restaurants that have the waitresses?
Absolutely.
The waitresses are.
Absolutely. Absolutely, a lumberyard. I mean, we've made a list of businesses already countywide. It comes back to whether or not you have 51% of your total employees that are LMIers.
So for like, just say for like homes up the sewer, if they want to apply for it, does the city of Seward need to apply for this?
No, the county could cover
Or
that.
the county will cover it?
It would come out of the county's fund.
Everything except St.
What
John,
if-
right?
Everything except for the city of St. John and the city of Stafford.
If they
If both
get
of
it.
those city entities apply and get the funding.
If they get it.
Let's say Stafford applies, they get it, St. John applies, they don't. You can also cover the city of St. John.
All right.
Is City of Stafford and St. John eligible for the 300,000?
Yes.
Okay, what if we apply and we get that 300,000 and we don't use it all?
So I was telling them, we have 12 months. According to this, we have 12 months to get rid of it. At that point, I'm guessing it just gets sent back to the Department of Commerce.
Okay.
It's how I'm guessing that will go. I don't know what the business application looks like, what the business has to fill out, but I have seen the one page.
But you guys would help the businesses fill
Absolutely,
that out?
absolutely. We are willing to do that, and we are willing to have the conversations with them. Because we've already had people,
I mean, that
Is that otherwise they wouldn't do it?
no, they wouldn't.
it has to be a for-profit business.
Okay.
And so, but Carolyn looked into it, so she was thinking, you know, you take the Ampride over in Stafford, for example. Most of their employees that work in that location are probably LMI. I think she said you can break up, see, Kansas is so big, if they have 1 to 50 employees, it was our perception they can't apply, because this is up to, so it breaks it down to 1 to 5 employees and then 6 to 50. Your smaller 1 to 5, they can apply for a maximum of, I think, 35,000. However, if there's only 1 employee, they're only eligible for 25. So they kind of break it up like that. But it's Carolyn's understanding that if you have a co-op like that, you can break it up based on location that you're servicing. So she thinks something like Ampride might be eligible. It will just depend. We thought of Tigertown, but Tigertown's a nonprofit, so I don't think they're gonna be eligible. But that would have been huge.
Convenience store out here would apply too, just like
Correct.
one at Stafford.
Correct. So we've got to find somebody in this co-op that's willing to do this with us, you know, go through that whole application process. I'm gonna guess I'd probably reach out to Jackie Mond. She's kind of a communications director. I think she'd hook us up with somebody. I think so. I mean, we'll talk to White's. I mean, we've again, it's gonna be your sole proprietors, your individuals that own a business that I think would benefit the most. I just don't know if they're gonna be eligible. And like I said, I'll find that out tomorrow. There's a Q&A. The system, sorry, the system kind of just crashed. I mean, we were calling in, we're like, we can't see the application, so Hannah ended up getting in and we filled out like a mock application. And just to know like what they're asking, and it's not extensive, I mean, it's doable, but you've got to kind of have a general idea of how many businesses you're wanting to help and how many employees they might have. So, I mean, it's going to take some labor, but it's rare for CDBG to just give out grant funding, because typically it's loans, and typically we don't meet the LMI requirements.
And this is a grant?
It's a grant, it is strictly a grant, there are no loans involved with this, it is free money.
Okay.
Why couldn't the manager of the 2 convenience stores fill that out?
They probably could. We need to call somebody and talk them through, like, hey, this is available. I mean, Carolyn, we didn't even know anything about this. Mary Jo happened to call Carolyn last Friday and say, hey, there's a funding opportunity coming available. You should maybe look into this. And then we weren't really finding anything. And Monday, they finally put this overview stuff on the website. And then, like I said yesterday, the application became live. So kind of like this hush-hush, oh, now you can go apply type of deal. So I guess my ask this morning is, if you guys want to sign a resolution, and then it's my understanding that we need to publish a public hearing, that there'll be a public hearing in the newspaper. But I want to wait until tomorrow to have my final answers as to whether or not, like, my hopes would be, let's publish that we're having a public hearing in the newspaper, and then the following Wednesday, do it.
At commission meeting, is that
If
what
we
you're
have a
You
special
might
meeting.
find out.
But I'm asking that in Q&A tomorrow.
Okay, let me know.
Because I come back to our rural counties and cities that have a weekly newspaper. I mean, we're
Exactly.
still looking at a 2-week period before we can even legally submit the application, following their guidelines. So,
So
Joe
when we-
Haynes would qualify for this.
I think
we
every
have all the
restaurant
restaurants,
is.
we have all the restaurants on
Because
the
she's
list.
down now, there's just
So
two
what,
employees.
at what time, I mean, if you guys have a question, then when would,
Well,
you
she
would contact them all?
I know.
Yeah, double walk through the
She can
process.
put
I mean,
in
is
there
this something where they
people that
can
were
get
working on it with it.
2 months?
See,
Is that
that's,
kind of fair?
I need to ask that tomorrow. So I think, based on when we apply, I think we're supposed to know within 2 weeks whether or not, like, the county would be approved or our cities would be approved. And then it's done on, I think, like, application, you won't get all the 300,000 up front. So it's basically like, okay, the lumberyard wants to participate, she submits her application, which I don't know what that application looks like yet. And then we send it in, and you'll get the funding to then pass through. So I think it's kind of like a reimbursement to some degree, or based on when an application gets turned in. Because the administrative fees also come periodically, based on how much you've done with the program.
And that's 10%.
Yeah, 10% or 15,000, whatever is less, I think. So,
Nice to know.
And those administrative fees will be earmarked separately when we get them
I can ask that.
from, because it could get confusing for Mary if she doesn't know exactly, okay, 1,000 goes to the lumberyard and 100 of it stays for administrative. See if they're gonna, or if we just automatically take 10% off,
Okay.
we're gonna need to know that.
As far as the administrative fees?
Yeah. She's asking what he said.
If we have to take the percentage off of the total that she gets for, say, the lumberyard, do we automatically take that off before she issues the check to the lumberyard, or is it gonna come in a EFT by itself, basically?
I'll ask tomorrow in this Q&A. They kind of just released this, and of course, everybody has a million questions.
Everybody's scrambling.
These are all of the question and answer things, so far. But,
I've seen that stuff in an email last week.
and we are, it's looking like, you know, let's say the lumberyard got some of that ILO program and the PPP, that they would still be eligible for some of this funding. So, again, most of our businesses probably aren't even gonna be able to apply for the full 25, 35, 50,000, because they're not gonna have that much in inventory that they need to buy. So I really do envision that these are gonna be smaller grants that they're asking for, because it's mainly for inventory and working capital. So, and they can go back to March 1, I think, to help cover costs, is what they were saying, so.
And you're also looking at Meals on Wheels, food banks and food pantries.
Yes, we are,
Those programs.
yes, we are encouraging the city of Stafford to do that. St. John is not eligible because they are not LMI. You have to be LMI for the city to apply for the meal program. Maxville and Stafford both.
Maybe talk to the mayor of Maxwell.
More work.
I don't even know, do we even have meal programs over there outside of the school? I mean, Stafford and St. John have like the Circles program, which is where our mind was kind of going, because they feed their participants, but I'm not aware. They have something for the old folks over there.
Meals on Wheels or anything?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think we do.
Well, wait a minute, I think Mary,
Oh, my mom.
for like the senior center,
I think
I think
they do
Mary took it
some.
over out of her
Well, here's the
cafe,
deal.
because it used to be done there at the senior center, but I think she's doing it out of the restaurant.
If you guys, you can also start a new meal program with this 100,000. I'm just not running that, so.
You're not-
I'm not.
No, actually, the one about the core people on their meals, those are usually donated.
Well, but
They
we can get funding to help, unless people like paying for the food and donating it, but heck, let's buy the food and then get people to cook it for us.
They've been donating.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've been donating it.
I'd say let's have CORE
Might as
buy.
well get paid for it.
We also thought about, buying just a gift cards to the local grocery stores. So, you know, for the Stafford Core Group, give them Paul's gift certificates and have them go buy all the food for the core program. And then those that have been donating food, just ask them to make it once the supplies are bought. That's how we envision that happening.
Okay.
I don't know if Julie had another idea to get something else going, but core group
Hey,
was our main
real quick,
focus,
let
and
me
then I
commission
said St.
meeting.
John's.
Does Max still have a meal program for the senior citizens over there? Mary does it? Okay.
And I think the restaurant provides.
Okay.
cooks
All right, thanks, that's what I need to know.
For Meals on Wheels.
Bye.
For staff.
Stafford.
It's done through Mary's over there.
Where's the hospital?
So does Maxville, City of Maxville need to apply
They would
for
need to.
this if they want to get Mary's?
Mary does
They
it
would need to, yes, the city
Mary
would need
does
to.
for the elders.
That's my
I call them.
So the City of Maxville needs to apply for it.
The meals program, yeah.
Then
Okay. Okay, I can do that. I can do that.
I would move that we approve resolution number 2020-10 to apply for the CDBG CV grant for the Department of Commerce.
One second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2020-10. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried.
I'm gonna,
This-
can I retype that and have you come in and sign it?
Yeah, do what you think. That's just a temporary,
You know,
yes.
this
We
is
need to not
Mayor
type that up.
or Commissioner.
Yeah, I need to,
That's fine.
can you come
That's
in
just
this
a-
afternoon and I'll have it
Oh.
redone? Or tomorrow morning? This doesn't
Tomorrow
have to be
morning.
published.
No, I don't think so.
I'll do
We
it
just
tomorrow.
need to put in the paper that we're gonna have a public hearing.
Okay, let me know exactly,
But I need to figure those answers out tomorrow morning.
see if they can send you a template of what the public hearing notice should be.
I'll do it tomorrow morning. You might change it again. after
Okay,
the-
I'll retype this.
Right?
All
Yeah.
right.
You never know.
Better wait just a little while.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, if it has to be held within so many days of this resolution,
Maybe 7 days is what they said.
the public hearing,
The CDBG guidelines are usually 7 days from when the public hearing is published. So like I said,
we
we look
did it
at
to
like,
David on Friday, he put it in
next when, is it Monday or Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday's paper?
Well, it comes out Tuesday. Actually, they.
And then we have to have there's no way we can have it, the hearing for 7 days. Because you gotta publish, which
Which
won't
will be
come
next
out until
Wednesday.
Wednesday, so you have your hearing then the next Wednesday.
Right, we're looking at 2 weeks from now, which sucks.
Mhm. So you might bring that up
We are.
for the locals,
Oh, we are.
with the one paper,
I'll forget it.
yeah, just let me know.
That'll get their
We'll get it
attention.
out, I mean, if I get it to him
That'll
by
get their
Friday
attention,
morning, he
yeah.
usually stick 'em in.
Well, we aren't, I mean, we're not the ones complaining.
Exactly.
We've got counties smaller than us out west that
Yes.
are like the same issue. We're
Yes.
looking at a 2 week and it's first come, first served, so is there gonna be money left for us smaller?
I don't know, it doesn't say that
I
in
mean,
here.
some
but-
resolutions, it's quite a bit of public hearings.
I didn't bring an application out, but it's in,
Okay,
so,
I mean, is there somebody that is going to say, I want your county to apply for it?
right? You would think not.
They're gonna take care of the
or
6 counties they
if,
mentioned.
now sometimes they'll let you do public
Well, they
hearings
are.
if you publish it on the website.
I think electronic is not allowed,
Ah,
correct?
Yeah,
Electronic
that's what I
notice is
know.
not allowed. Is, I think there's one question that will go back, this is the outline, it's over a 2 week.
If you get that in
Submit.
before 10 o'clock on Monday,
he would get it in next week, we had it in Friday or Monday.
and it.
Or I
it
can call him
comes
and say,
out-
hey, can you hold a little space for this, we gotta come. He's very good with it. But yeah, let me know as soon as you know tomorrow.
10 a.m. Okay.
Okay.
Anyways, thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Kansas Gas Service called, this is just for your information, they're gonna be doing some,
Is it worth it?
clearing of some trees where their pipeline goes through Sandy Land. I had him call Marlon Spare, I didn't I mean, he's the one that's gonna have to deal with him, so he called them directly, so. Just in case somebody bounces you about what are they doing there, just doing some maintenance out there.
No, they're not clearing trees.
No, they're just over their pipeline, they're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
clear them over where, I guess it goes through those tree belts or something, I don't know.
I think they already have.
Oh, have they
There's
done
already,
it?
there's mow spots through there,
Oh,
where they
okay.
ground them up and everything
He
else.
called Monday,
Check after.
Like they did out there along that fence line. They did the same thing where the gas lines are at, and they've already went north to south through there already.
we for sure wanna open Monday.
Yep. You know, as far as people signing in, I mean, you're gonna have a record of where the people are at, what offices they go to anyway.
Well, my theory on that is, I have somebody sign in that came from somewhere to buy a fishing license. He's not gonna come back and tell me, hey, I tested positive. I think it's kind of a waste of time, and I think some people will get offended.
Well, if he's worried about it and hears about it on the news, he might.
So,
I'll let you know.
I'm just, in our office, we're just gonna be super, super cautious, you know. The treasurer's office did have some of those plexiglass things made for each station, which are gonna work fine. They kind of wanted it from the start. Their office is the one that's gonna get pounded. And we're just gonna have to, you know, super, super clean the hallways, because people are gonna be standing around out there. Like Judge Keeley said, common sense. So, I think Luann's gonna do appointments for her office for a while. I don't know how many, her vault's so small. I know she's already had a few people come in or call to get on the appointment list, so.
I would think she ought to do them all by appointments, one at a time
She's
myself.
still not gonna do passports, which I don't blame her for that.
Maybe we should get it.
But we will move back over there next Wednesday, if that's okay with you guys.
Maybe should get a humidifier, put this back in it, just let it miss that fall.
I don't think she wants her books wet. I'll tell her you suggested that.
Oh, you don't prove that.
Do you have any idea if you're going to do appointments or just kind of?
I haven't asked Mary, I don't know, they've been so swamped over there, they get a lot of mail and.
Do you think she collected pretty good on May 10th, or do you have any idea?
I had quite a few people ask me, well, since the 10th on Sunday, can we pay on Monday?
Yes. Yes, oh yes,
But I said,
even if it was.
don't take my word for it,
Yeah.
I call.
It's May 11th, yeah.
But that Weigel is trying to get the interest knocked off for 60 days or whatever it is, which the interest is nothing. It's.
I had a couple of property owners that said that since courthouse shut down, they should have to pay property taxes. And I
Right.
said, well, you just do whatever you want.
Exactly.
And I said, the courthouse employees are still working, and they're just, you can't go in, you can call them.
Yep.
You see that thing, they had an increase, there's nothing on the board.
Monday was busy, busy, busy.
I had several
Yesterday
people, I
was-
said, I said, just knock on the door.
Yeah, they ring the bell and somebody runs down there.
I said, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, it's,
The only bad, tough thing is somebody's getting a lot of exercise, because it's never the right department. that
well,
gets it.
usually the treasurer's office goes down because it's 99% for them. And if somebody has something for me, they'll just bring it up. I typically don't have to see anybody. I mean, I had a couple of people I met with the other day.
So you need to do some upbringing.
Well,
I thought you were alternating who was running
No,
down.
the treasurer's office said from the start they take care of it, and those girls have. But like I said, 99% of them
Short
for them.
load, it was only $1,900.
So it's worked out really well for the doorbell thing, I think.
I've had a lot of people ask me, but I've never heard the second one call back and complain after I told them what they could do, so.
Well, Luann's had a few call her, and when she explains what we're doing, they hang up on her before she can explain that we're opening on Monday. But yesterday, she had 2 people hang up on her. I mean-
She's gonna have
People are getting tired of this, and we
she's
get
gonna have
it. but
people coming in.
She is,
She's gonna be busy too.
yes. But we're gonna take everything out of the hallways, like all that fish and game stuff I have by my office. I'm gonna pull all that out and just get rid of the
Paper.
stuff Yeah,
We don't want to be handling that either.
yeah. So if somebody wants one, they can ask for it.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to make it as easy on Teresa as we can with cleaning. She's doing a good job. She's keeping things. So we'll just all have to be more diligent, but I think it's time.
Yeah.
We'll,
Anything else? Rob, you got anything?
I will, I'll talk to I'll figure out which township this is in, and I will, I found that email.
Oh, you
Some
did?
reason those emails are going to my junk. How the hell?
Because you
I-
probably marked it as.
you marking me as junk?
If you delete them, if you
I did.
delete them,
Uh,
Okay, I'll need it, I'll get it. So I do have his phone number,
Okay,
but I'm gonna call the township and find out which, because on the boundary line, one township will take care of 3 miles of it, so this might be a Pawnee County
Exactly.
problem, not our.
that's what I told him too. So he was gonna talk to the township board.
you
He,
know who's on that board.
No, but I can.
is it Lincoln?
Yeah.
Greg Bayer, Brian Anshoot's still on there, and can't remember the third one. John Drew's their maintainer.
Yeah, but this guy was gonna call the.
He said he was gonna get in touch with the board.
Okay.
What about this road that, have you talked to those landowners in West Cooper? The Oz Road?
Yeah, I mean, John Fox is talking back to the Harrison gal, I mean, that Joe.
Okay.
Joe Show, he would like to get closed.
Okay, well, I just,
On West Cooper.
yes,
It's the old Oz Road, and John Joe Show is an out-of-state landowner. His grandpa's CRP, anyway, the road goes up through there, and it doesn't get traveled at all until later in the fall, and then they drive through there, well, it's CRP grass's fault, and then they just drive through it. The township never mows it. On one end, the trees are so bad they're dragging your vehicle. And they're worried about, and then Harrison gal owns the property, a pasture on the other side. So they're worried about somebody drive through there and start a fire. Well, I talked to David, they would like to close it, David Salem is on the township board, and he's like, well, we just set it back, we never could open it if we ever want to do something, so he doesn't want to give it up, and I said, he goes, what's minimum maintenance, and I said, well, there needs to be some maintenance. You know, you can just mow it, because right now it's just a 2-track. We're driving through tall grasses, replacing drop trash, tires, crap like that. So I asked him if the landowners themselves could do it.
see, I don't know if landowners can do it, or it has to go through the township board.
It has to go through the township.
I thought.
That's
the
what I
landowners-
told John. I said, get your
Oh, okay.
facts together and you're gonna have to take it. and
But I,
There's gonna have to be a hearing.
So I mean, if the township board, because when I talked to David, he called Bird Services on the board, and they basically, no, we want to keep it. Well, they keep it, but they don't do anything to it. And I thought maybe we might have Bill Drivers down there through it. Because I mean, if it is a minimum maintenance, it needs to be passable, doesn't it, or at least
well,
mowed?
that whole 3 miles coming off of Fourth Street, I mean, you go straight at Gillespie's house, that road's the same way.
I mean, we're basically just saying, well, we don't want to give it up, but we don't ever want to do anything to it.
Well, I gotta run a brush hog down through it.
You're talking about 40th.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
It's 40th is what it is, that runs there.
Yeah,
It's a yeah.
That one, Leslie's house used to be a decent road.
south of Lawrence's house,
Lawrence's.
Oh,
their
Lawrence's.
farmer.
Lawrence.
What she's talking about.
Where you
On
take
that
off
T
down to
intersection.
Two
Oh, no,
Traffic
that's
thing.
always been a later.
yeah.
You're saying we take 50th south of Fourth Street. I think that's
So-
pretty well we do.
Yeah, that's not even. Is that a minimum?
It's a little not.
What?
That
That
one
one,
south
Yeah,
one.
I believe so,
Oh,
but they're not.
We could do this for
Okay, I'll just hang on to this and you can let me know.
Yeah.
did you guys see the email from the state that the county can get divided up in Kansas counties from KAC $1.25 billion? I did forward that to Nita yesterday and said we might as well take her share of that. too.
I got it after you forwarded it to me, but yeah, Lisa's working on it.
Who's, Given that money, the federal government.
Yes, yes. Kansas is getting 1.25 billion. Of course, Johnson County and Sedgwick don't need to apply.
Yeah,
They're already
They
in.
already got it.
They're already in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, otherwise, you gotta fight for it, or you aren't gonna get.
We might as well try it, though.
You're right.
Yeah, we're doing the payroll. She's got the payroll. She's working on it.
This is from KAC. Johnson County and Sedgwick counties are not worried. They'll get their funds directly.
Yeah.
Do you want to ask why? I mean, just seriously.
I don't know.
I know, the world revolves around it.
It's not,
Anyway,
there isn't anybody that exists outside of Johnson and Sedgwick.
Nope.
Many people.
Yeah, yeah.
No. We'll adjourn, Carol.